Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to today's session where we will try to show you why the service virtualization, so the software that allows us to do simulations of legacy applications, non-existing systems, is actually a hidden gem in the SAP testing. Today with me, we've got Gianluca Simon, who is an SAP CTO from Capgemini, and also Stefan Gerstner, who is a Vice President of Quality Engineering and Testing at Sogeti, and myself, Michał Krawczyk. I'm one of the co-founders of INT4 AG. Just from the technical standpoint, please feel free to ask questions. We will try to answer them either during the session or right after the session. We will have some spare time after the session for the Q&A. So please feel free to add any kind of comments if you'd have any. And yeah, let's go ahead. So maybe, thank you guys for joining. So maybe the first question to Gianluca. So Gianluca, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about the latest trends and evolution of the digital transformations that are happening in the SAP space?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Maybe, we can start with this slide. Yeah, just representing the evolution, no, of the SAP domain. I start my career in the 1998 when the year 3 was there. We were close to the
You don't look so
mainframe.
old.
Yeah, exactly. So long time, no, of evolution from the SAP and the way on how we are working with our clients in implementing SAP solution. No, so typically the topic is okay. Today we are approaching something a little bit more complex versus what we have done in the past. Okay, but I want to comment that probably we are exactly in the opposite way, no, because the complexity was there 20 years ago, 30 years ago in approaching the implementation of the classical monolith, no, because at that time cloud was not there. And so the complexity was there because, you know, the monolith, it's close to the mainframe. So everything into the package from SAP, from us as a system integrator, from the clients. And the reality was a very complexity, a lot of costs to manage this kind of big box. And so what we have today available for us. No, today we are on the RISE era. Okay, so we're approaching RISE. We know it's the bundle of the new cloud motion from SAP to support our transformation with our clients. So we're approaching now what is called the composable ERP. That it's exactly something where we are able to succeed with our client in achieving the flexibility and the innovation that are asking for, okay? Because we are in a continuous evolution, we need to support our business need. They are continuous changing day by day. And so the composable is the right approach to succeed in this direction. And thanks to the composable, we can push and succeed also with other elements like the clean core, the hybrid agile, and the continuous delivery that are different, very, very relevant topic where we are succeeding with our clients. And we will see maybe in the next slide what it means exactly. So for instance, jumping on the slide 3, you know,
So Gianluca, maybe if I can have a question. So does that mean that we're trying to simplify, actually with the clean core, we're trying to simplify the delivery, but with the simplification comes some aspects that we also have to take care of, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we will see during our conversation, no, what it means in a pragmatic way. So the composable, it's something that at the same time SAP is approaching, no, because again, in the past from SAP, all the industry solution or the line of business were just managed into the same box, no, mainly the ERP, but not only. So today, composable from SAP means that mainly we have the S4HANA as a main package, as a new real ERP. So it's not just a new name of the ERP, but it's exactly a new product where we can manage the business process. And next, we have a lot of SAP satellite. No, we have, for instance, IBP, Ariba, Concur, SuccessFactors, and other stuff coming from the SAP portfolio. And all those elements are based on a SaaS solution. So working together with the S4HANA, combining this kind of business puzzle, no, that I likely mention as a business puzzle, and this is our kind of composable. Okay, but we know today we cannot manage 100% of the business need just consuming SAP stuff. We are in the hybrid era, okay, on the hybrid cloud, and this means that we need to complement also with the non-SAP stuff. No? So it's exactly our composable mixing and matching SAP and non-SAP components, solutions, assets, and so on. And you can see on the slide our specific approach from Capgemini in managing the hybrid multi-pillar architecture. No, that is the best practice in implementing this kind of flexible architecture, succeeding with the clean core, respecting the package, implementing the custom stuff to solve additional business needs, powered by BTP and powered by the hyperscalers, and approaching in a very simple way, supporting our client in understanding how to move from the ABAP stuff to the cloud native stuff, avoiding kind of conflict and confusion between BTP, hyperscalers, and other solutions. Okay, so we are
And Gianluca, if I can maybe ask a question, is this approach only relevant for the large digital transformations, or is it relevant also for maybe some a bit smaller companies as
Yeah,
well?
it's let me say totally agnostic, no? By the industry, by the footprint of our client. It's a method, it's a mix between business and technical method to implement this kind of hybrid composable picture. Okay. Of course, as a Capgemini, our main focus is for the large clients, but it's something that we are applying also for the small and medium. Okay, doesn't matter. It's just a method, and it's a kind of assets and offering that we can implement on the client side. And maybe an example, Mikhail. So we have a specific hybrid two-tier ERP approach. No, that means basically to mix and match the private edition of the S4 that we know from RISE and the public edition of the S4. Typically, the public edition is something more relevant maybe for the small and medium, no, but it's relevant also for the large because they are acquiring company. They need to manage subsidiary. So with a different complexity according a complex productive side. So we can build this kind of hybrid, just mixing the private for the complexity that we know from the large enterprise, and the public starting for something more simple. Okay, and again, maybe an agency, a dealer, something different, and we can orchestrate this kind of hybrid, synchronizing data and transactional stuff between the two layers. And finally, another example of the composable is the data. No, data is a very relevant topic. It's the fuel for everything. And also on the data, following this kind of hybrid and composable, we can slice the complexity coming from the data from different SAP and non-SAP solution, and we can approach in a nice way, solving and achieving the flexibility, also managing data platform and data consumption for our business process. On the next slide, so we are composable. We are in the cloud era. We have the right cloud maturity. Means that we need to achieve additional two topics. From the technical side, we can implement our DevOps method and tool chain to be sure that we are quickly and in an agile way implement our topic on the SAP. No, maybe a template, maybe a rollout. So we have the right expertise coming from the non-SAP, mainly working with the hyperscaler, implementing non-SAP cloud native stuff. Today, approaching SAP on the cloud, we can exactly succeed consuming the same DevOps tool chain also on the SAP pillar. This is relevant for BTP because BTP is the cloud platform powered by SAP, but it's also relevant and very relevant for the package on the S4. So new way of working, following the composable, following the cloud promises and value and advantage coming from this kind of new architecture. So we can implement with a different speed. We can solve different technical and business pain point that we know from the past. And today, the hot topic is the AI and Gen AI. So we can also inject this new kind of innovative technology to generate content to support our technical and business team in improving our way of working and the productivity on the daily basis. My last slide.
So Gianluca, can we say that without those new approaches, it's not that our projects will just be longer, but it will be very difficult actually to implement them? Is it the first statement that without all of those new techniques, the complexity is so large that we just won't be able to deliver this program?
Yeah, but we are approaching the cloud, no?
Mhm.
I already mentioned that maturity is there on the cloud. No,
Yeah.
we have now the right mindset also for the cloud. Okay, so we don't want just to lift and shift our SAP workload from the on-prem to cloud and that's it. Okay,
Okay. We
is
we
it
need to
something
provide the value
we need
with
to
this.
implement all the benefits coming from the cloud solution. And this is a mix between the composable architecture, mixing and matching SAP with the hyperscalers. It's a kind of new method and methodology in implementing SAP project, moving from the classical waterfall to the hybrid agile,
Mhm.
means to implement our CI/CD way of
Yeah.
working in a different agile project within the entire program where we need to transform our business for our client. Okay, so it's a topic where we can start from different angle in order to benefit 100% of the cloud value that we have today on the market for us. And another relevant topic, typically when we talk with our clients and with our prospect, so mainly now they know very well what it means RISE, what it means cloud. Maybe they are already there with the relevant investment on the hyperscaler side, maybe on the non-SAP side, and now they are starting in injecting cloud and RISE also on the SAP side. So they are asking, okay, please help me in understanding maybe additional other gray area where I need to focus to be
Mm.
sure that I can control the end-to-end journey and not just again moving workload from the on-prem to the cloud.
Exactly. Mhm.
And one relevant topic is, for instance, the cloud economics, the FinOps method and tool, because we are moving stuff, business critical application on the cloud platform, and we need to control daily based, costs coming from the consumption of the cloud services. Another topic is the mindset in trying to avoid custom implementation into the package, following the clean core. So we are trying to suggest a zero ABAP mindset, just implementing cloud native stuff, API, microservices, container, AI, and so on the cloud platform. Okay, so we are supporting clients, providing master guide and decision tree on how to shift from the traditional way of working in ABAP into the cloud native, consuming again BTP and hyperscalers together. And another relevant topic, and maybe this is for you, Mikhail, to proceed with our conversation, is the availability of the system. So we are building this composable architecture, means that we have a lot of solutions working together. Okay, and typically during the SAP implementation, maybe in some cases we have just the productive environment for a specific solution, so we don't have the pre-prod test and something like that, and we need to orchestrate a kind of workaround, because we need to test integration, because we need to test data migration and something like that. And so I believe that INT 4 may be the right solution, to approach this and not only this, in order to solve these new kind of elements coming from this new kind of way of working with the composable. What do you think?
Yeah, so if I get you right, Gianluca, it's like it's not that we wouldn't be able to the projects will be complex, but they always were. In the past they were always complex. So it's not, but the thing is it's not just to be able to move to the cloud, because then it doesn't make sense. We need to do something so that we will be able to provide the value and all of the benefits of moving to the cloud.
Exactly.
So
So
with
maybe,
this maybe. Mhm.
yeah, maybe complexity is not the right wording, maybe different paradigms, that we need
Exactly,
to
exactly. Mhm,
orchestrate.
mhm. So, So yeah, so and how does this look in reality? How does it look on a maybe a little bit lower level? Let's imagine that we're doing this digital transformation. So we're doing an upgrade, we're doing a selective data transition, or we're implementing a new greenfield system, which is displayed in the middle. But as Gianluca mentioned, in case of the composable ERPs, we've got a lot of systems that are connected to that. So for example, on the right hand side, we have the warehouse management systems, we can have the transport management systems, we can have HR systems that are managed outside of the SAP. And on the left hand side, we've got the partners with whom we're doing the business. In most cases, most of the companies in the world, they sell, buy, or ship through integration. So they have to communicate with their business partners, right? Each of those SAP business processes is usually a composed business process that somehow interacts with those, either with the partners or with the non-SAP systems. But when we're changing the middle part, the S4HANA system, we're trying to add some new business processes, we're trying to add some new value, we need to do some testing. And the question is, how do we do the testing? How do we make sure that those dozens and sometimes hundreds of non-SAP systems, legacy applications are available, and that the people who are working with those applications are available exactly at the time when the SAP program needs to be able to do the testing? And the same with EDI partners. Because what usually happens is that, unfortunately, many of those are not available for testing. So what is happening? Nothing. The whole program needs to wait. And what is happening when the whole program needs to wait? We've got basically two choices. The first one is we can say, okay, guys, we cannot get any electronic messages from our business partners, from our legacy applications. So why don't we just skip on the new functionality? Why don't we just cut the scope a little bit? So this is the thing that you've mentioned, Gianluca, right? In order to be able to deliver the program on time, let's cut on the scope a little bit. Not a good option. The other option, and I would be looking at you, Stefan, right now, is, okay, why don't we just do a little bit less testing? And actually, why don't we not test those processes almost at all? Let's just run a few tests, and if everything works, then everything is good. But obviously, if we cut down on testing, then most likely the quality will not be as good, right? So what is the alternative? And when we look at the alternative from this perspective, we say, why don't we just simulate all of those systems? Why don't we simulate them so that we can isolate all of those systems from those external dependencies, meaning legacy applications and B2B partners? And the plot thickens when we think about the complexity of SAP, especially of SAP large programs, because very often SAP customers are saying, hey, we don't just want to implement one SAP, but actually we need to do 50 rollouts and we need to do 5 of them at the same time. Okay, it's fair. So the typical way how to work with multiple rollouts at the same time is to create something that is called a project track. So apart from the standard production quality and development environment, we can have as many project tracks as the programs that need to run concurrently, right? But how do we test those? Do we need to install and connect them to all of our legacy applications again? It's just not possible. It's not doable. So without being able to simulate those applications, we cannot just run the S4HANA implementations on time. And what is the solution? When we think about the solution, of course we can simulate them, and we can do this. We can do this with solution like INT4 Suite, for example. But how should we do this? How should we do this so that everyone can use this? And here we always look at the other examples. So if you're filling up your tank in your car, right? Or if you're charging your car, the question is, how would you like to do it? Would you like someone else to do it for you? So you just have to go to the station and wait for someone to help you with that? Or would you like to do it on your own to speed it up? And the way how we do it also, and this is why we're talking about this hidden gem, is that we can provide a chatbot from which a single chatbot, from which every person can simulate those missing applications, those missing partners, those missing business processes that are invoked on some other systems. So basically, the only thing you have to say is to the chatbot, hey, retest message 123 from external system, and maybe just change the partner from ABC to BBB, right? And that's it. This is the way how we can simulate all of those systems very, very easily. So what does it do? So basically, it allows us to run the program in a very isolated way, right? So that means that we can do a lot more testing, because now everyone can simulate those applications. So we can test our application in a really good way. So Stefan would be really satisfied. And if we're doing that, we can also bring a lot more value, a lot more new business processes. So Gianluca, as a CTO, would say, oh, look, we're actually bringing the value that we've promised. We're not just doing the shift and lift. The question right now is, how do we know this, and where do we find some more information about that? And this is why Sogeti, and together with Sogeti and Capgemini, we did actually Stefan Gerstner orchestrated the Worldwide Business Assurance Report for SAP Solutions. And Stefan, maybe you can tell us a little bit about a few findings from this report.
Absolutely, and thank you, Michael, for the introduction. So actually, we did that report and we published it just a few months ago, so the findings are pretty fresh. We had done it earlier, 2 years earlier, and so that gives us also a kind of a possibility to compare results. And I picked a few data points which I think are relevant for this discussion. And I will share also the link to the report. So if you are curious regarding more of it, you will have an opportunity to look into that later on. Okay, data point number 1. So we already heard from Gianluca and also confirmed by Michal that it is very much about integrating the SAP world with the non-SAP world. So how can we create one coherent DevOps CI/CD infrastructure, and by that also having the same speed of innovation accessible in the SAP environment. This is a promise which all our clients have understood and are aiming to achieve. Some of them already there. You see nearly 30% claim that they already have CI/CD implemented, also for SAP environments then also. And only a very small number, 1.6%, says we don't have plans to use that. So it's a no-brainer. Everybody wants to go in that direction, wants to become agile and DevOps enabled. The next data point, which I think is also very interesting, to what extent have the benefits of service virtualization, which Michal briefly introduced, already been understood and maybe also used? And there was a new question which we were asking in this year's report, and a relatively large number already has understood and is using that because of the, let's say, benefits which are listed on the right-hand side. And for me, it is very much about decoupling and making your focus of testing independent of the rest of the world. And by doing that, speeding up the process, reducing the complexity, and as a spin-off, also reducing the cost. So it is really a powerful method in order to help you achieve your journey faster and with less effort. So very elegant.
So I think, Stefan, what we see here is the service virtualization is very often a new word for a lot of our listeners that might be. So we're talking about the simulation, right, of those systems that would allow us to isolate those programs. So we need to, as you mentioned, the keyword, I think, is the focus. You want to focus on SAP if you're doing an SAP, if you're doing a new business processes in SAP, and not on everything else, because probably most of those non-SAP systems, legacy applications or EDI partners, they are not changing. So we don't need to focus on them as long as we communicate with them exactly in the same way as we did in the past, right?
Exactly. And also, it is not black and white. You also can switch on, switch off whatever application needs to be in scope for a specific question within that testing strategy. So you can play with that and basically build your, let's say, flexible end-to-end approach depending on the relative scope, which is important for the current state. So far about the theory, but I think you all are interested also, how does that look in practice? And I'm glad that I can share a story with you, which has a lot of ingredients which are interesting from my perspective. So we're able to support a Nordics car manufacturer together. Together meaning Capgemini doing the system's implementation, Sogeti doing the testing, advisory and support. Tricentis Tosca was used for the user interface automation, and INT4 obviously for the service virtualization. So all the parties also involved in our research acted there together. And what we were allowed to do is help the client perform a journey towards continuous testing, which means basically the ambition was to reduce drastically the time needed for regression testing, which was several weeks, to a speed which was more in the terms of hours. And that was quite a journey to do together, because you first had to kind of implement basic capabilities regarding test management, test strategy, but you also had to define how good do you want to be? How fast do you want to be? How should the process of the future look like? And to support that, what are the elements which are required? So already defining that at the beginning is important to be able to continuously work towards that goal. And as soon as we had that step one with a solid basis, then it made sense to start automation. And that was the classical UI automation, leveraging Tosca, but also basically working on the test automation for test data provisioning, which is a crucial capability also, and taking care of continuous maintenance of the artifacts. And with that, you basically have a standard solution, which is known in the market and used industry-wide. But it wasn't good enough for that client. We didn't achieve the speed which they were aiming for. And the one crucial solution element was, again, service virtualization. So basically, the capability to mimic the rest of the world and to focus on the SAP system. And doing that by implementing service virtualization for the inbound messages and API test automation for the outbound messages. And this made a significant difference. So by doing that, we were able to achieve a speed of a few hours for a full regression test, which basically made the client confident that it's now time to enter into the continuous testing, integrate test automation tooling into the CI/CD pipeline, and they were using Azure DevOps there. And it is a very solid solution which is now being implemented and rolled out across the company. So,
but Stefan, yeah. So thank you so much for describing the story. But I have just one question, because I'm really worried that you're telling us that we cannot just jump from step number 1 to step number 4 immediately. So maybe you could also tell us a little bit, just in a few words, what the team up methodology and architecture for SAP is, because I think that is a methodology that describes that you cannot actually jump from manual testing to continuous testing in one go, because you will just fail, right? So how
Yes,
do
indeed.
we do this? How do we prepare for this?
Yeah, indeed, it's sometimes a little bit frustrating to tell the story. You can't apply a magic stick and you jump from step 1 to step 4 overnight. That would be nice, but indeed, you need to bring the organizational stepwise on a higher level of maturity. And that needs training, that needs new ways of working, new processes, that needs also technology which you haven't used there. And this is something which we have collected as a community best practice into our method, which you have named the TMAP approach, test management approach. And we have formulated it also specifically for SAP so that SAP users can benefit from best practices which we have collected over the years and helping them to support there, including training, which we're also providing based on that methodology for different user groups, be it the more technology-oriented roles, be it the end users. And actually, just a few weeks ago, we have launched a training and certification specifically for the end users who also play a crucial role in the complex environment because they know their solution best, and we don't want to waste their time, but basically effectively use their time and their contribution.
So I think we can say that in order to bring the value of those S/4HANA implementations and bring the biggest benefits, we need to get everyone online. Testing is not for testers, right? Testing is for everyone. Simulation is also for everyone. This is why we're bringing this self-service so that everyone can use this. But actually, everyone needs to be on board, right? Everyone needs to understand the importance of this also. So thank you so
Absolutely.
much, guys. We have a few questions I can see on the comment section. So maybe let me start with the first one. So Gianluca, I think this is the one for you. The first one. Do you have some real? I'm pretty sure you have, but whether you can share, do you have some real client success stories in implementing those journeys, in implementing the composable applications, the clean core journeys? Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we have a lot. No, we can just consider that in Capgemini we have hundreds of S4HANA implementation in a different way, maybe in a conservative approach, maybe more on brownfield, maybe greenfield, maybe a very large transformation. Okay, but independently from the path that we are following with our clients, we are implementing the composable. We are following the clean core. We are succeeding with BTP. We are complementing with the hyperscaler. So again, no, Michael, do you remember my topic on your question? So this is for just for the small and medium. This is for the large. So how to approach? So this is our new default in supporting clients because
For everyone.
my sentence is, dear client, if it is true that you want to be flexible, agile, innovative, no topics coming from the first slide, this is the only way to implement today. Okay, we cannot proceed following the monolith, the waterfall that we know from the past. We need to jump in a new paradigm, okay, following this journey, because it's not something plug and play, it's a journey, and we have all the ingredients to support and succeeding with our clients. So we have a lot. You can check on capgemini.com, you can check on sap.com. We have a lot of public success story describing this success.
Okay, so clean core is not and composable. This is not just something a new term that we've made up. It's a normal practice, and you're doing that for all of your customers. So it's not
it's not a kind of nice to have. Let me say, it's our approach by default, where clients are working with us because again, this is the only way to be flexible and agile and innovative, of course. So we cannot still work on the ABAP into the S4HANA like 20 years ago if we need to inject Gen AI, if we need to approach analytics, if we need to approach event-driven architecture. So we need to implement in this way.
Perfect. So the second question is maybe I will take this one. Why can't we just switch the test landscapes between each of those tiers of SAP? instead of doing simulations. I think this is a very common approach, right? That companies are still trying to do, but in reality, creating the test landscapes, if you have dozens of hundreds of non-SAP systems, multiplying them by number of SAP tiers, which can be sometimes 4, sometimes 5, sometimes 6. And if we also take the project landscape into account, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to switch the landscapes, because it's not just the switching, right? We need to align the master data, we need to align the transactional data, so we need to do some smoke testing. So it's just a lot of work. And I see also a question from Rohit. Can you also simulate IDOCs for those 3PL systems? So yes, we can simulate everything. We can simulate all of the connections that are coming from the outside world, whether these are 3PL or EDI partners, or whether these are non-SAP legacy applications that reside in your system, or maybe they do not reside at all. Maybe you just have a production system, right? It also happens, and there is no test system. We can also use this production system to copy the test data from the production system and simulate that to the SAP for testing on any landscapes, right? So this is definitely possible. One for you, I think, Stefan. Can you share a few more interesting findings from the report? Is there anything else that we should look at?
Quite a lot. So maybe you saw in the intro of our webinar a few facts which were popping up, and just naming a few which I find very interesting. So we heard about the move to agile, but if you look, waterfall still is the dominant implementation technology. So a lot of clients are still on the move and haven't really the agile capability implemented. In that context, also the finding regarding test automation is crucial. So if you have the ambition to go to full DevOps, that means you need also to maximize or optimize your test automation capability. And there we see also that there is some room for improvement. But it's not only about the technology aspects, it's also about the organizational capability and the ownership. So basically, Michael, what you mentioned before, it's a mindset question. It's not the tester who owns quality, it is a team who owns that. And the shift left approach to bring basically that kind of capability early in the process also is something which hasn't happened yet in the SAP space. So these are just a few who highlight the challenges which clients are facing and where I think room for improvement is.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. So maybe just one thing to add to that. So please don't. We don't need to ask Stefan for this event, because everything is in the report. The report is free to download. So you have a link on the page right now, or you can find the link afterwards in the communication. So in the report, we do not only have the answers from all of those 500 participants, but there is a big description that justifies all of those things, right? So everything that Stefan is mentioning is described even more in the report. So please go to the report and just try to download this. So another question from Basant. Service virtualization for inbound interfaces may be leveraged by the help of tools as discussed. But why do we need API automation for outbound interfaces? Okay, so but Basant, it's inbound and outbound are equally important if we want to isolate those systems, right? Imagine that we have a business process like order to cash. The order to cash process have both inbound and outbound interfaces usually, right? The inbound, for example, sales order, incoming sales order, so the sales order needs to get created. But when you create a delivery in your SAP system, the message goes out to the 3PL provider or to the transport management system or to your customer. The message needs to go out that the delivery is coming. So in order to be able to test whether the whole system is working, we also need to validate if the outbound interfaces are working, right? So these are equally important. I wouldn't say that inbound is more important than outbound. I think we need to discuss both of them, right? For simulation, we're just talking about the inbound, but also automated validation of outbound is equally important. Another question I can from Rohit about iDocs. This one is already replied. And then another question from Pramod Kumar. Do you think the service virtualization will impact the SAP authorization testing? No, it doesn't. It doesn't impact this, because how we do the service virtualization is we virtualize this on the integration platform level. So exactly the same authorizations that are being used by the integration platform to send the messages to the SAP system are being used for the same authorization are being used. So it doesn't impact, right? These are the same authorizations that are being used. Patrick is asking, for me, that sounds like a basic setup for an early stage, for an early testing stage. Patrick, this is a very, very good comment, I think, because very often we think about in the SAP, and Gianluca, maybe you can confirm that, and Stefan, very often in SAP, everyone is thinking, okay, we need to do some test automation. So this is only after the QAT. This is only after the QAT because there's no value beforehand. Where actually the simulation is valuable at the very, very beginning of the S/4HANA programs, when we start doing the development, because developers, they need messages from those legacy applications, from those EDI partners. Then we have the SIT testing, so string integration testing. Again, we need to some of those systems will not be available on many tiers of the SAP system. So Patrick, it not only sounds like this, but we want to really ring a bell that it has to be done very, very early, right? This is the whole shift left approach, right? If we just test at the very, very end, then we're missing the whole value of the shift left. So we will be bringing the very costly issues to the production.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why, we want to be agile. So what you're mentioning, Michael, may be more on the waterfall classical approach. But if we just think that we need to be agile, we just need to sprint our package and user story. So we need to work in a totally different way from the methodology point of view. And next on the tech side, to prepare what is needed for the different sprints.
Mm-hmm. And Patrick, this is also what this team-up methodology from Sogeti is bringing. It's showing that, so that everyone understands we're not just a waterfall that we will be running in 3 weeks. This is not a waterfall run in 3 weeks. It's we need to think about testing in a different way. And just like you say, it's very similar to code quality, right? You cannot just fix the code the later when you go into the test system and into the quality systems. You need to start at you need to start at the beginning.
And Michael, maybe you want to tell something about the online training which you have created, which helps to better understand that if somebody is interested.
Yes, so we have an open SAP training that is talking about the value of service virtualization and how can this be implemented. You can find the training on the Open SAP. It's an official Open SAP training. You can get a badge as badge certification for participation from SAP, and we will send out the links right after this webinar. So with that, I would like to thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Gianluca and Stefan, for hosting this session. I hope it was valuable. We will be able to send the recording to everyone who subscribed. So if you have any questions, please just come back to us, and we will be happy to help you with that.
Exactly. Thank you all. Thank you, Michael.
Thank
Thank you,
so
Stefan.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.